Hey Tribe, today we're going to give you 3 different movements to help work out any kinks or knots that we have in our thoracic spine. This is going to be right in the center, in between our shoulder blades, right above the lumbar, and obviously right below the cervical part of our spine. There's 3 different parts of our spine. We're going to be working on the middle one. Now we're going to talk about thoracic spine because we get a lot of tension that's happening in there. And we get a lot of clients that don't know how to stretch or wring it out. And the way I always look at it, as the thoracic spine likes to be wrung out like a towel, where if we have a towel that's soaking in water and we fold it in half and we squeeze it, we're going to get water out. So if we're flexing or extending, are we going to get something out of that thoracic spine? Absolutely. But if we add rotation, it's like wringing a towel out. And when we wring that towel out, that's when we can get most of the water out. That thoracic spine is working the same way. Creating the rotation is going to help hit all the muscle fibers that are working in different directions that don't just go up and down the spine, so we can get more out of those muscles. So break up any adhesions in the fascia that's in there, so which is that layer between the skin and the muscles that almost becomes like Velcro when we don't move. And in general, we don't do too much rotational work. If you're an everyday person, it just doesn't really happen that often because we have all the luxuries in life that we always talk about. So here's 3 different movements that we're going to show you that are going to help you work on opening up that rotation of the T-spine, get you a little bit more freedom in the back. Maybe we could look over the shoulder now when we're backing up rather than relying on backup cameras, simple things like that. And also just improve any pain that we have in the spine and create more movement. So let's start off with the first one. We're going to go against the wall, or Nadine is. And what we're looking at is keeping the knee close to the wall up. And I like to just add a little bit of pressure of pushing that knee into that wall. She's then going to extend her arms directly out in front of each other. Always look like the alligator. And we want to keep this shoulder as well against the wall. So we have that knee against the wall. We'll pin the hip against the wall and the shoulder. That's going to keep that body stable. From here, she's going to open up with the hand and follow it with the eyes and keep on reaching back and try and touch the wall. Now, a lot of us might not be able to touch the wall, but some of us might be able to as well. We're going to try and shoot for that. And as she brings this back, we also want to think about trying to pull this shoulder back towards the wall too. If we can get that to touch, great. If you can't, it's something to strive for. Then we're going to slowly close that back up. And in general, I'll do about 3 sets of 10. Be nice and methodical through this. I like to think about pulling that shoulder blade back as well when we're opening up, so we are getting that rotation out of that mid spine or the thoracic spine. But these are just going to be ones that we can work through. And we can kind of work another way to add in the shoulder a little bit more too. If we stay in that position, and this is kind of could be a step harder than the one that we just did of those wall openers, we're going to do these through a windmill. So we're going to keep the setup exactly the same. Knee pressure, hip pressure, shoulder pressure. But in this case, we're going to use the outside hand and try to use this thumb. And we're going to make a big windmill or a rainbow going up and around. Notice how she followed it with her eyes. We really want to look at that. See how far down we can go, and then we're going to reverse that back up. Make sure we are following it with our eyes. That's really important in the aspect of where our head goes, our body will follow. So we're going to get more out of that. And even though she is getting that much range of motion, I still want her almost reaching as she's coming up. So she's reaching the hand up, reaching the hand back, really trying to pull that shoulder blade back, get as much rotation out of that spine every time she does this. So these are 2 ones that you can do against the wall that are going to help free and open up that thoracic spine. The next one we're going to show you is going to be working from the ground. First 2 movements, we focused on being against the wall, having the lower half of the body very stable and allowing the upper half of the body to move. When we're on the ground, we're going to kind of reverse that. So we're going to keep the upper body stable and we're going to use the lower half of the body to help and rotate. Now, our lumbar spine is going to be moving as one, and we're hoping that as we rotate that lumbar spine, we're going to pull some rotation into that thoracic spine. So the first one that we can do, which we can do either one, but we're going to show you the easier version first, is just bring those knees up kind of up to 90 degrees. And then what we can do is we can bring the arms out to the side for some stability. And then we're going to try and drop the knees, keeping them together from one side to the other. Take this nice and slow. We might only get halfway, and then we can come back to center. Or if our body allows it, bring those knees all the way over to the side, and then we're coming up. I would take this nice and slow. And the biggest part is some of us might be holding the breath while we're creating that movement, so make sure you are breathing through this. What I would say is if we can get those knees to one side, and we're going to drop them over to this side, once they're down on that side, take a couple deep breaths. Try to relax the tension that's happening in your body. And if you want a little bit more out of it, we're going to take the head and we're going to look in the opposite direction to really wring that towel out of that thoracic spine. Hang out there, start breathing. We might see that for some of us, the knees might be stuck up like this. If we just allow, and every time we exhale, we think about this getting heavier and dropping down, what we will find out is over a few minutes, we can get that knee closer to the other knees. Technically, we want both those knees together, and if they're not, that's okay. Just work, breathe through it, and it'll drop down. If we can go back to the neutral position, Nadine, if we find that we're pretty good at that, what we can kind of do is straighten one leg, put it on the ground. We have the other leg straight up in the air, and then we're just bringing this foot across the body. We're going to rotate the entire hip the best that we can, rest it on the ground, and she's going to do the same thing. If she can, rotate that head in that opposite direction. You might find you have to move your arms a little bit more to create a little bit of resistance on one side if we can. We're going to breathe on that position, and then we're going to bring that leg back up. I would stick with one leg coming back up, then exhaling and working on pushing it to the other side. I would stay on this one side for about 10 reps. Make it at a smooth 3 seconds on the way down. Hang out for 10 seconds, 3 seconds coming back up. And we're going to do that for about 10 reps, then switch to the other side. And we can come up out of there, Nadine. These are 3 different movements that you can do to help wring out that T-spine. So I'm going to have Nadine turn around for a second. So if we feel, one more time, so if we feel any tension that's happening right here in that thoracic spine, this is a good thing that we can do to help get some of that stuff out. So we can turn right back around. Thank you. So try those out. Let us know what you think. As always, if you like this video, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And join us next week for more ways to improve your mobility and live a pain-free life.